So what if Salah and KDB made a return to Chelsea? What, not even a return. What if they never left Chelsea? What would their team look like right now if they never left Chelsea? Salah would be out on the right wing. Morata, being one of their better number 9s at the club, would probably be at the number 9 position if this was a Cinderella story and he panned out as their number 9. Big boy Hazard would be at the left wing position. Kevin De Bruyne would be playing a cam position. That's why I'm running the 4-3-3 with Chelsea. Conte and Fabregas would be a little bit deeper in the midfield. Fabregas being the guy to get the ball to Kevin De Bruyne to allow Kevin De Bruyne to do everything else he does, and Conte to win the ball back. David Luiz, Azpilicueta in the back, Moses and Alonso as their outside backs, and then Courtois in net. And that's how I feel that they would run the 4-3-3 at Chelsea if Salah and Kevin De Bruyne were still there. Now let's see how they progress through the season. So before we go any further, I kind of want to show you some things that are happening around the world before the transfer window does come to an end. And honestly, looking at the transfer news, there's not really that much that stands out. Obviously, this deal for Swansea City as they seal Nico to their club for $8 million. Atleti Madrid win the race for a player as well, but nothing that really stands out. When you look at club news, the first thing that stands out to you is amazing performance from Kevin De Bruyne. He's already doing his thing, and also Pedro out for 4 months on an injury. So that's some Chelsea news. Now let me quickly show you how the season has kicked off for Chelsea, as they're in 13th place. Community Shield against Arsenal, they did not. They lost 2-1. The first game of the season, they drew 2-2. Against Spurs, they drew 0-0. And against Everton, they drew 2-2. Realistically, there were some pretty difficult games in there though. Well, we're now on January 30th, 2018, 1 day away from the transfer window deadline day, and we're gonna look at what the results have been. And as you can see, Blackburn has knocked Chelsea out of the FA Cup. This is gonna be very interesting to see where Kevin De Bruyne and Salah has the club. Manchester United pick up William Carvalho from Sporting, and also Balde is linked with Sporting. So Sporting lose William Carvalho, but they go pick up another youngster that goes by the name of Balde. Goals for the club, 20 appearances, Willian with 13. In 22 appearances, Kevin De Bruyne has 6, 2 assists. So he hasn't done too much for the club. And my boy Salah, I don't even see him here. In 7 games, he's only played 7 games. Chelsea decided to bench Salah, and I'm pretty sure they decided to bench Salah for the one reason. Pedro is the reason. No, he's actually starting. So I guess, I don't know. I'm not really sure what the hell's happening, but he's only played 7 games and he scored 1 goal. Now that we've seen the stats on the players and how Salah's only really played 7 games, even with Salah staying at Chelsea, it seems like they were never going to play him. The Community Shield went to Arsenal. I don't want to see how Chelsea competed in the Champions League. We did make it out the group. We're taking on a German side in the Champions League. So big ups to Chelsea for making it out of their group. As you can see, we'll switch to the tables really quickly. I'm not exactly sure what group Chelsea was in, but I'm sure we can quickly find out. Chelsea came out of the group with Sporting, Atletico Madrid, and Shakhtar, and they actually got 11 points in 6 games. That's pretty decent. Now, as we approach May, I had to stop it. I had to see what's going on. See, because Chelsea has made it very deep into the Champions League. And in the first game against Juventus, they tied 0-0, which means they are very close to making the final of the Champions League. The one thing I did see Chelsea's lineup come across was an injury to Courtois and also an injury to Marcus Alonso, which made a new keeper step in, and also Azpilicueta push out to left back and Cahill into the lineup. Semifinals versus Juventus. I believe this game is taking place in Italy, and from what I just saw, Chelsea eliminated Benfica in the quarterfinals to reach the semifinals. So big ups to my favorite team in world football. They go by the name of Benfica. Higuain hits in the 34th minute. Chiellini receives a yellow card in the 35th minute. And if Chelsea do not bag an away goal, they will be exiting the Champions League in the semifinals. Dybala bangs one in the 73rd. Ladies and gentlemen, Chelsea have made it to the semifinals, but they will not make it past that point. They are eliminated from the Champions League. The season is over. 2017-2018 is over with Kevin De Bruyne and Salah on Chelsea. It ends like this. Bayern raises Europa League trophy against their rivals Dortmund in the final. Real Madrid goes to another Champions League final, but Juventus knocked them off 2-1 to raise silverware. So the team that eliminated us in the semis goes on to win it all. We proceed to look at the League Cup that gets raised by Man City beating Arsenal as Arsene Wenger makes his exit. He will not leave with silverware. We move on to see the FA Cup, and Liverpool goes to the final against Manchester City. And as you can see, Liverpool raises the trophy. And in the cup, the Community Shield, Arsenal knocked off Chelsea. The league, you can see that United picked up 80 points, Spurs got 75, and Chelsea also followed up with 75. So due to goal difference is the only reason why Chelsea didn't come in second place. But with Kevin De Bruyne and with Salah on the squad, they could not help Chelsea to raise a back-to-back title. Bakayoko and Conte and Willian played the most games. Clearly, Willian was coming into the right wing position and playing the right wing position way more than Salah was. So the manager opted to not use Salah, and that's the reason why Salah left Chelsea in the first place. Willian was the top goal scorer with 17 and 6 assists. Then Hazard with 14 and 4. Kevin De Bruyne came up good. In 33 appearances, he scored 8 goals and got 2 assists. Morata had 8 goals, 1 assist. And our boy Salah only appeared 11 times in 34 games or something like that. Scored 1 goal and got 0 assists. So even with Salah being an 83 overall in FIFA, once again, Mohamed Salah, one of the best players in Europe this year in real life, was just not used by Chelsea. That's crazy to think about. So as we enter season 2, I made a few things happen to make sure that Salah actually plays. I want to give it one more try to see what Kevin De Bruyne and Salah can do here. David Luiz, we got a transfer off for him. I rejected it. I didn't think it was smart to let him go. Marcus Alonso, I also reject their deal from Bayer Leverkusen. Morata got a big boy deal in from Real Madrid, and I actually sold him back to Real Madrid for 80 million. That's pretty crazy. They buy back Morata for 80 million. Conte got an offer from Liverpool. I said no. Musonda, I actually sold Musonda. I let Musonda go ahead and leave because he's a right wing player as well, and I don't want anyone taking Salah's time. I also sold Bebe because I felt like he wasn't really going to get playing time. So like I said, Musanda's gone. Pedro got an offer in, which I also did accept because I want Pedro gone. That way Salah will play every game. I rejected the Azpilicueta deal from Napoli. I accepted the Willian deal to Liverpool, but I got 37 million for him, I believe, and I rejected the Spurs deal for Fabregas. Now let's go ahead and start the season without Willian and Pedro here and see what Salah does for Chelsea. So we have made it to January 1st, 2019. Willian and Pedro were both supposed to leave the club. At least I accepted for them to leave. Hopefully they accepted wages. Let's find out how Chelsea's getting on midway through the season. We'll first look at player stats. And yes, Diego Costa is still part of the team as he was here in the beginning of the season last season. Kevin De Bruyne and Salah have both made the most appearances alongside Eden Hazard. All right, so the 4 best players, Conte, Salah, Hazard, Kevin De Bruyne, how it should be. 8 goals for Kevin De Bruyne with 2 assists in 18 games. Hazard with 7 and 3. Salah with 6 and 4. And Conte with 1 and 1. Pretty good stats. Could this have them top of the table? Top of the table is exactly where Chelsea is. 12 games played, 4 draws, 2 losses, 34 goals for, 13 against with 40 points. This is exactly why I sold Willian, and exactly why I sold Pedro. The game was trolling and making those guys play, so I had to let those two guys leave in order for this team to go on and be successful. Courtois wasn't even in net. Let me lob Courtois back in net. Success in the Premier League is all good and dandy, but how is Chelsea competing in the Champions League? I know in their group they did have Dortmund. I also believe Sporting was in that group as well. In the League Cup, they have a semi-final matchup against Reading, which can make sure if they win that game, which honestly they should be in the final against either Crystal Palace or West Ham. The Copa Europa, the big one, but you know, Juventus versus Bayern, that went to Juventus on penalties. The Italian Giants, the old lady, win it. And once again, the team that eliminated Chelsea in the semifinals, we faced them again in the round of 16. But how did Chelsea come out of their group? Well, Juventus came out of their group in second place, and Chelsea are actually going to come out of their group in first place. 6 games played, 3 draws, 3 wins. Sporting came last, Dortmund came second. Let's see how Chelsea gets on the rest of the season. May 2019, Chelsea knock off Monaco 2-1 in the semifinals and are 1 game away from the final, which means they did some damage. They knocked out Inter, and you know that they obviously knocked out Juventus as well. Let's see how they are performing up to the point of May. And also some other news I didn't bring to you is the fact that Belgium actually won the World Cup. So that's some crazy news for you to digest, but FIFA has Belgium winning the World Cup. The United States offered me a job, but I don't want nothing to do with that job right now. I am just focused on seeing what happens with this. Hazard, Batshuayi, Salah, Kevin De Bruyne, Bakayoko, Kante, Azpilicueta, Courtois, Moses, David Luiz, and Cahill versus Monaco, the French side. Who is making the Champions League final? Is it Monaco or is it Chelsea? Brahimi, which is the man that went from Porto over there to where Mbappe's still there, but we all know Mbappe's actually at PSG. Or actually, did they go? Maybe he went back because it was a loan. Either way, 1-0 to Monaco, which means Chelsea could make another exit out of the Champions League if it stays. Actually, they have 2 away goals right now, which means on away goals, Chelsea has just made the final of the Champions League because Chelsea won the first leg 2-1, and that was away from home. And now Brahimi scores, but Brahimi's scoring is not going to be enough to eliminate Chelsea, which means Chelsea are in the Champions League final. And along with being in the Champions League final, they have kind of slowed up in the league. They are a few points behind Manchester United, 4 points back, but still with the chance of winning the league. This is getting very interesting. Let's see how it unfolds. So there is 1 game left in the calendar season, and then it's the final of the FA Cup and the final of the Champions League. Real Madrid in the Champions League final for the 4th time in a row, winning 2, losing to Juventus, and now taking on Chelsea. Does this Swansea City game mean anything? Let's find out. Are United champions? Not yet. With 1 game remaining, if United lose and Chelsea win, they are the 2018-2019 EPL champions. Hazard, Batshuayi, Salah, Kevin De Bruyne. What will happen in the final day of the EPL? That is insane. That is a crazy season that took place. Chelsea must win. Hazard misses a very, very important penalty. And as we approach the 60th minute, now the 70th minute, Chelsea must score a goal or the season is over. Conte finds a goal in the 82nd minute. And if United lost their game, if United loses their game, Chelsea are the champions. But if United win, the season goes to United. Bros, that is one of the craziest EPL seasons that you'll ever see. We'll see how it played out. Obviously, the FA Cup is about to take place. But before we see the EPL, the FA Cup, We got to see how the EPL turned out, man. Who won the EPL? Man City in the final. And as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, United take the EPL. Spurs come in second simply because they have one draw more than United. They came in second. Crazy, awesome season. We got to see how the stats have played out for Chelsea as well. What has Kevin De Bruyne, what has Salah and Kevin De Bruyne done for Chelsea this season? And they came so close to winning the league. Let's see what happens, man. With appearance, well, we're not gonna check appearance. Let's check goals. Let's put it by appearances. So the most appearances this season falls to Salah. You know what? Salah did take an injury. I know midway through the season, Salah took a pretty bad injury, which missed games. And that's probably why he only has 23. 8 goals, 4 assists. He had a decent season. But Kevin De Bruyne really came on. 15 goals, 5 assists. Hazard, 19 goals, 4 assists. And obviously Conte with 4 and 2. But the striker, Diego Costa, did not have a good season at all. He pretty bad, to be honest. Let's see if they could at least get some silverware this season. It was brutal to come up 2 points short of an EPL title with Salah and Kevin De Bruyne. But can they raise the FA Cup? Salah could be giving Chelsea silverware. In the 7th minute, Salah puts it into the back of the net. Big boy Mohamed gets it done, but then Eriksen comes right back and equalizes in the 41st. Moses, another player that was sent away alongside Salah and Kevin De Bruyne, then brought back, was Moses. So Moses comes in and scores a massive goal alongside Batshuayi, and silverware is handed to Chelsea. Salah had a big impact in that game. They do get a trophy. Can they win the Champions League? A semi-final appearance last year, a 3rd place finish last year in the EPL, a 2nd place finish in the EPL this year, a final in the Champions League, a final win in the FA Cup. If Chelsea can win the Champions League against the GOATs Real Madrid with Ronaldo, Morata, Gareth Bale, Cruz, Isco, Casemiro, Marcelo, Varane, Ramos, Carvajal, and Navas, they'll go down in history. Moses, who scored in the FA Cup. Hazard could have made it 2-0, missed a penalty. Moses, who scored in the FA Cup to give them the lead 2-1. Cristiano Ronaldo, Mr. Champions League himself, finds the back of the net. Toni Kroos gets a red card. Morata, against his ex-team, gives his ex-team the victory, possibly. Kevin De Bruyne ties it up, and in penalties, Chelsea wins the Champions League. Salah scored the goal that gave the FA Cup pretty much to Chelsea, and now Kevin De Bruyne in the 117th minute tied the game to go to penalties, which then Chelsea wins the Champions League. If Salah and Kevin De Bruyne didn't leave Chelsea, they would have not won the EPL 2 years in a row, but they would have got an FA Cup and a Champions League. Would that have been good enough for you Chelsea fans out there? Ladies and gentlemen, if Kevin De Bruyne and Salah did not leave Chelsea, well, it's been taken care of. In the comments down below, what's next? If Neymar goes to Real Madrid, is that what y'all want to see? Blow it up down below. It's been your boy, AA9 Skills. Big old thumbs up if you love this series. You want to see it keep going. Make sure to subscribe. And thank you guys so much for watching. We out of here. Booyah.